All right, so you guys sent over this list of the top 30 best VST audio plugins in 2024. And whoa, it is a lot to dig into.
It's pretty amazing, right? I mean, there's just so much here.
Yeah. And not only are we going to break down like what the pros are using this year, but there's also a bunch of incredible free options on this list, which is awesome.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The free stuff is especially interesting to me.
Oh, totally.
It feels like the industry is shifting towards more accessible tools, and that's great.
And like you said, they're highlighting a 50% off sale right now, too. So,
Oh, right, yeah.
like,
It's a good time to be looking for plugins.
it's a good time to be us.
Right, totally, yeah.
So first of all, like, Vital, it's free.
I know.
Can you believe that?
I mean, it's crazy that a free synth can even come close to, the legendary Xfer Serum.
Right.
But Vital really holds its own, especially for EDM production.
I know. That's the thing that blew me away. It's like, okay, it's free, but is it any good? But it's like, no, it's not.
Legit. It really is. And when you get down to it, a lot of that comes down to wavetable synthesis, which is how Vital is built.
Yep, yeah.
Wavetable synthesis, it basically lets you manipulate and morph sound in some really detailed ways. And that's perfect for creating those evolving textured sounds that are so characteristic of EDM these days.
Right, yeah.
And like we said, the fact that it's free, that's just the icing on the cake.
I'm adding it to my download list as we speak.
You should.
Okay. But Vital isn't the only freebie that stood out to me. Momentum Sampler from Big Fish Audio is another one that seems like a game changer, especially for hip-hop producers.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's a really great introduction to the world of professional sampling.
Okay.
It gives you a taste of what you can do with high-end samplers like Serato Sample, but, without that big price tag.
Right.
So it's a nice way to get your feet wet. And speaking of free plugins, there's that famous one for dubstep and electro, Xfer OTT.
Oh, yeah. Xfer OTT. I feel like everyone's heard of that one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's based on an Ableton Live preset, right?
That's right, yeah.
I've heard so many producers rave about it. What is it about OTT that makes it so special?
It's all about that aggressive multi-band compression. It really pushes the dynamics to the extreme.
Okay.
So you get those really intense, pumping sounds that are so essential to dubstep and electro. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But it can add an incredible energy to your tracks.
Right. I love how specific some of these free plugins can be. Like Polyverse Wider 2, it just makes mono tracks stereo. That's all it does.
I know. It's pretty cool, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Instant dimension.
Yeah. Have you ever used that one?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a great tool for adding space and depth to your sounds. And it uses this, clever psychoacoustic trick to create the illusion of stereo width, which is really effective.
Interesting. Okay, so another one that really stood out. Slate Digital's Fresh Air. It's free, and from what I've heard, it's amazing for just adding a final touch of polish and shine.
It is, yeah. It's all about subtle saturation and high frequency boost.
Okay.
So it just adds a touch of warmth and airiness to your tracks, making them sound more, polished and professional,
That's awesome. And it's only got 2 knobs.
I know, it's deceptively simple.
Okay, so we've gone through some great free options, but now I kind of want to get into the premium synthesizers.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
This list is packed with them.
It is. It's like a who's who of synth royalty.
Totally, yeah. And they all have their own unique character, their own strengths, and their own weaknesses too, I'm sure.
For sure.
But let's start with the undisputed king of EDM, Xfer Serum.
Yeah, Serum. I mean, it's popular for a reason.
Totally.
It's just so powerful and flexible. And again, that's because of wavetable synthesis.
Okay, yeah.
It allows producers to create these incredibly intricate, evolving soundscapes that we've been talking about. From those soaring leads to those deep, growling basses.
Right, yeah.
And the interface is really intuitive. And there's a huge library of presets and wavetables out there. So it's a sound designer's dream, really.
It really is. It's amazing how Serum has become such a staple in so many genres, not just EDM.
Totally. It's way more than just a trend at this point.
Right. But, if we're talking about sonic versatility,
Yeah.
we have to mention Omnisphere.
Oh, yeah. Omnisphere is everywhere.
I know. It's on every
It's on everything.
chart-topping pop song.
Yeah.
It's in film scores. It's everywhere.
It's true. And it's this, hybrid beast of a plugin.
Yeah.
It combines, synthesis, sampling, and even granular synthesis all into one.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
It is. It's really powerful. And the sound library is just massive. It covers so much sonic territory. And you can layer and manipulate sounds in ways that you just can't do with other plugins.
Okay, so then there's Diva, which is known for capturing like that warmth and character of analog synthesizer.
Oh, yeah. Diva is a favorite for producers in those genres like melodic house and techno.
Why is that?
It's the analog modeling. Like, they've really gone above and beyond to recreate the entire signal path and behavior of classic analog synths.
Oh, wow.
You know, not just emulating the sound, but really recreating the whole experience. So the result is a sound that's super rich and nuanced.
Right. So it's not just trying to sound like a Juno, it's trying to...
Yeah, exactly. It's like having a studio full of vintage synths right there in your computer.
Nice. Okay, and speaking of vintage synths, Arturia's Analog Lab.
Oh, yeah. That's a treasure trove for anyone who loves those classic sounds.
It's a whole virtual museum of synths.
Right. They've meticulously modeled some of the most iconic synths in history.
Wow.
You know, they've really captured the quirks and sonic character of each one.
So, like, what kind of sounds can you get out of Analog Lab?
Oh, it's an incredible range. You've got, you know, the warm analog warmth of the Moog Mini Moog. You've got the bright digital textures of the Roland Juno 106. It's all there.
Oh, wow. I love how these plugins let us actually, like, explore the evolution of electronic music from our own studios.
Right.
But let's not forget about some of the newer synths that are making waves. Like, Repro 5 has been getting a lot of buzz.
It has, and for good reason. It's a really faithful emulation of the sequential circuit's Prophet 5.
With Prophet 5, the synth that defined the 80s.
Exactly.
So, like, what's special about Repro 5?
Well, it captures the sonic essence of the Prophet 5, but it adds some really cool new features,
okay.
like polyphonic step sequencing, a powerful modulation matrix, things like that.
Interesting.
So they're not just recreating old sounds, they're actually pushing the boundaries of what's possible with software.
So cool. Okay, this is just the beginning of our synth journey.
It is. There's so many more to explore.
I know. I'm already feeling inspired that we've covered so much.
We have. From free gems to iconic classics. And there's still more to come.
I know.
In the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore the world of plugin bundles.
Okay, I'm excited.
You know, those all-in-one packages
Yeah?
that can really change your workflow.
We can streamline everything.
Exactly.
Save you some money, too.
Right.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Okay, awesome. All right, welcome back to our deep dive into VST Audio Plugins.
So many amazing tools out there.
I know, right? It's mind-blowing.
We talked about, like, free plugins
Yeah.
and some of the big iconic synths. But now I'm kind of curious about those plugin bundles.
Oh, yeah. The bundles.
Yeah. I mean, they could be a game changer, right?
They totally can, especially if you're looking to streamline your workflow.
Right.
Or just, like, you know, get access to a bunch of different tools without spending a fortune.
Yeah, that's the thing. They seem really appealing when you see how many plugins you get for the price.
Right.
But there are so many options.
There are a ton.
Like, how do you even choose? What should we be looking for?
Well, first things first, you got to think about your needs, you know? What kind of music are you making? What are your go-to production techniques?
Okay, yeah.
Like, if you're primarily a hip-hop producer, for example, you're probably going to want a bundle that's got a lot of drums, samplers, and vocal processing tools.
Right, that makes sense.
It's like building a custom toolbox, you know?
Yeah, totally. Like you wouldn't use a hammer to screw in a bolt.
Exactly. But once you've figured out what you need,
Okay.
it's super important to actually research the plugins in each bundle.
Okay.
Like, read reviews, watch demos, listen to audio examples.
Make sure they actually sound good.
Yeah. Because it's easy to just go for the bundle with the most plugins.
Oh, for sure.
But quality over quantity. You know?
Totally. I'd rather have a few amazing tools than 100 mediocre ones.
Exactly. So let's dive into some specific bundles that are really popular.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
First up, the FabFilter Total Bundle.
Oh, yeah, FabFilter.
They're known for their, like, really clean interfaces and just pristine sound quality.
They're Pro Q3 equalizer. Is that what it's called?
Pro Q3.
It's like legendary for mixing.
Right, because, yeah.
Everyone uses it.
Pretty much. And it's so precise, you can really fine-tune your sound with it.
So what makes their plugins so special?
They're just really well designed, you know? Powerful but easy to use.
Okay.
Like their Pro L2 mastering limiter. It's like the industry standard for getting a loud, polished master without crushing the dynamics. So you get that loudness without sacrificing the life of the music.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, if you're looking to add some vintage vibe,
okay, yeah.
the Soundtoys Bundle is a must-have.
Soundtoys.
Yeah. They're known for their, like, unique character and just inspiring effects.
They definitely have a sound.
They do.
Yeah.
Like their Echo Boy delay, it's not just a delay, it's like a creative playground.
Oh, wow.
You can make classic tape echoes, crazy otherworldly soundscapes, you name it.
That's awesome.
And then there's Decapitator, their saturation plugin.
Okay.
It can do subtle warmth, it can do aggressive distortion, whatever you need.
It's funny how some plugins can really take you back to a specific era in music production.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just imagining 70s psychedelic rock
Oh, yeah.
when I hear about Soundtoys.
Totally. And speaking of sonic time travel, the UAD Producer Edition,
Okay.
that will take you straight to the golden age of analog recording.
Wow.
They've got these amazing emulations of classic studio gear like vintage compressors, EQs, microphones, tape machines, you name it.
Yeah, UAD is known for their attention to detail, right?
Right. They don't just emulate the sound, they recreate the whole behavior of the hardware.
Oh, wow.
So you get those subtle nuances and imperfections that make analog gears so special.
Interesting. So they're not just trying to make it sound like a Neve 1073, they're trying to make it actually behave like one.
Exactly. Now, for a truly massive toolkit, there's the Waves Diamond Bundle.
You've heard of that one. It's huge, right?
It's huge. 76 plugins.
Whoa, that's a lot.
It is. It covers everything you could possibly need, from EQ and compression to reverb, delay, pitch correction, everything.
That's like a whole studio's worth of gear.
Pretty much. But it can be a bit overwhelming if you're just starting out.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But the cool thing is that it's good for both beginners and pros. They've got it organized into categories with presets and tutorials.
Right, so you can kind of ease your way in.
Exactly. So before we move on from bundles,
Okay.
there's one plugin I wanted to mention that's a real lifesaver for mixing.
Okay, what is it?
Isotope Ozone 11.
Ozone. Yeah, the mastering suite.
Right. It's like having a virtual mastering engineer.
Okay, yeah.
It's got powerful processing tools and AI features that can guide you through the process.
So even if you don't know much about mastering,
Yeah, it can help you get your track sounding great.
mastering has always been a bit of a mystery to me.
I get it. It can be intimidating.
What is it about Ozone that makes it so essential for that final stage?
Well, it streamlines the whole workflow. You've got EQ, dynamics, stereo widening, limiting, and AI loudness optimization.
Wow. Okay.
And a bunch of metering tools to make sure your tracks meet all the industry standards.
Right, so it's not just about making it sound good, it's about making sure it's actually ready for release.
Exactly. Now, before we get too lost in the technicalities,
Okay.
there's another plugin that can save your life throughout the whole mixing process.
Okay. Soothe 2.
Soothe 2. I've heard of that one. It's the one that removes harshness, right?
Yeah, it's a dynamic resonance suppressor.
Okay, that sounds pretty fancy.
It is pretty fancy. It uses spectral processing to target problematic frequencies.
So, like those frequencies that cause muddiness or harshness?
Yeah, like sibilance, for example.
Okay, I know what you mean.
So it cleans things up without affecting the overall tone.
So it's like a super smart EQ?
Exactly, and you could use it on anything. Vocals, drums, guitars, even the whole mix.
Wow, okay, I'm sold.
You should be. It's a great plugin.
So Soothe 2, Ozone, all these bundles.
It's a lot to take in. We've covered so much ground. VST plugins have really changed the game.
They really have.
What else should we be looking at?
Well, we've talked about creating sounds, shaping them, getting them ready for release.
Yeah.
But what about the human voice?
Oh, yeah. Vocals.
In the next part, we'll dive into the world of vocal processing plugins.
Okay, I'm excited.
Get ready to explore the art of shaping the most expressive instrument of all.
All right, welcome back to our VST plugin deep dive. It's been quite a journey so far.
It has. Synths, drums, effects, bundles, we've covered a lot of ground.
And now it's time for the star of the show, the human voice.
Ah, yes. The vocals. Always a crucial element in music.
I'm always fascinated by how vocal processing has evolved. You know, it used to be all about, like, fixing mistakes, but now it's become such a creative tool.
Absolutely. It's like its own art form.
Right. So where do we even begin?
Well, let's start with a plugin that's basically become a household name, Anterra's Autotune Pro X.
Autotune, yeah. I mean, it's everywhere these days, from subtle pitch correction to, like, those crazy robotic effects.
It really has shaped the sound of modern music.
So what makes Autotune Pro X stand out? There are a lot of pitch correction plugins out there.
Right, but Pro X is more than just pitch correction, you know? It's got all these advanced features like throat modeling and formant correction.
Okay, so what do those do?
Throat modeling, it lets you tweak the character of a vocal.
Okay.
You can add warmth, presence, even a bit of grit.
Wow, okay.
And then formant correction, that's where things get really interesting.
Oh, how so?
Well, formants are basically what give a voice its unique tone, its color.
Okay.
And with formant correction, you can actually change those formants.
Well, wait a minute. So you can make someone sound taller or shorter?
You can. It's pretty wild. But, like with any powerful tool, you got to use it carefully.
Yeah, I can
A
imagine.
little goes a long way.
It's like adding spice to a dish.
Exactly. Too much and it overpowers everything.
Right, right. Okay, so if we're talking about, like, really precise vocal control, so Melodyne, right?
Ah, yes. Melodyne. That's a whole other level.
So it's like the gold standard.
It really is. It lets you edit vocals in such detail. It's unbelievable.
So you can adjust, like, everything.
Pretty much. Pitch, timing, vibrato, even those formants we were talking about.
Wow, okay.
And it's not just about fixing notes. It actually understands the music.
Okay.
Like, it analyzes the scales, the tempos, the phrasing.
Oh, wow.
So your edits sound natural, not robotic.
It's like having a virtual vocal arranger.
Exactly. Now, what about those times when you need pitch correction in real time?
Okay, yeah, like during a live performance.
Yeah, exactly. Or even when you're tracking vocals.
So the singer can hear the correction as they're singing.
Right. And for that, Waves Tune Real Time is a lifesaver.
Okay, I've heard of that one.
It's super popular with singers and producers.
Because it's so transparent.
Yeah, it's designed specifically for real-time use. So there's no latency, no weird artifacts.
It's got to be a confidence booster for singers, especially on stage.
Oh, totally. But it's also great in the studio, to make sure you're getting a solid performance before you dive into editing.
It's like a safety net.
Exactly. Speaking of vocal clarity, what about de-essers?
Oh, yeah, I got to tame those sibilant S sounds.
Exactly. A good de-esser will smooth things out without making the vocals sound dull.
Right, it's a delicate balance.
It is. Some are more transparent, some are more aggressive. It depends on what you need.
Okay, so we've covered the basics of correction and cleanup. But now let's talk about the fun stuff.
Oh, yeah. The creative vocal effects.
Those plugins that can, like, add that magic touch.
The ones that can take a vocal to another dimension.
Exactly. So where do we start?
Well, a personal favorite of mine is Soundtoys Little Altar Boy.
Little Altar Boy. Okay, that name's intriguing. What can it do?
It can turn a voice into almost anything you can imagine.
Oh, wow.
Robotic voices, monster growls, chipmunk squeaks, you name it.
Whoa. This is
Yeah.
a vocal funhouse.
Exactly. It's all about manipulating pitch, formants, the whole character of the voice.
And what about vocoders? They can create some really cool textures.
Oh, yeah, those robotic electronic textures.
Right. What's a good plugin for that?
Isotope Vocal Synth 2 is amazing for that.
Vocal Synth 2. Okay.
It's not just a vocoder, though. It's got harmonizers, vocal transformers, all sorts of stuff packed in.
Wow, okay.
It's a real powerhouse. But with all these incredible tools, it's easy to get carried away,
Oh, yeah. I've definitely been guilty of over-processing vocals in the past.
It happens. It's like adding too much salt to a dish,
Oh, it just ruins it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what are some tips for using all these tools effectively?
Yeah, how do we make sure we're not ruining things?
Well, the most important thing is to remember that vocal processing should serve the song.
Okay.
It's about enhancing the emotion, not masking flaws or creating some generic, overprocessed sound.
So starting with a great vocal performance is key.
Absolutely. A well-recorded vocal needs less processing.
It's like building a house on a strong foundation.
Exactly. Then use EQ subtly to shape the tone. Don't go crazy with it.
Okay, less is more.
Exactly. And with compression, use it to control the dynamics, but don't squash the life out of the vocal.
You want it to breathe.
Right. And effects, like reverb and delay, use them to create space and depth, but don't overdo it.
You don't want the vocal drowning in effects.
Exactly. And most importantly, use your ears. Don't just rely on what you see on the screen.
Trust your instincts.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between technical skill and artistic expression.
Wow, this has been such an eye-opening journey. We've gone through so much, from synths to mixing, mastering, and now vocal processing.
It's incredible how accessible music production has become,
Yeah, it's amazing. And these plugins have played such a huge role in that.
They really have. They've empowered artists to create professional-sounding music from anywhere.
Right. So as we wrap up, what's one final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Well, remember that these plugins are tools. They're a means to an end. The true magic comes from you, from your creativity, your passion, your unique voice.
It's about using these tools to express yourself.
Exactly. And remember, if you have any questions, you can always reach out.
We're always here to help. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.